Guys, are you thinking about a subcompact luxury crossover in your near future? Well, I have news for you because Acura has a brand new vehicle. Yes, you saw the sign, the ADX. And this is an all-new vehicle for Acura. And this vehicle is going to be slotting in a very competitive segment that currently is being owned by companies like BMW and Lexus and Audi and Mercedes-Benz, and almost every major auto manufacturer that has a luxury brand has a vehicle that can compete with this. But this is the first time that Acura has produced a vehicle to compete in that segment. So what is this vehicle all about? Well, first of all, let's talk about styling, because that's what it's all about. Many of you are probably curious about the platform. Well, it does share a platform and some components, of course, with the Honda HR-V, same wheelbase, 104.5 inches. This grille, check this out. It's their diamond/spiderweb design. I actually kind of dig this. It depends on the vehicle, of course, but the grille size, I think, is actually pretty good on this one. Massive front emblem here, cameras up front. We'll talk about the cameras in just a minute when we get into the interior. The overall design is basically like a baby RDX. I think that was the point. If you look here, you can see that there's some character lines on the hood that stretch all the way to the door. In addition, if you look very carefully at that headlight, you're going to see a little Easter egg that says Acura. Yep, that is important. They're trying to establish an identity of this vehicle right away. So, in building this car, which by the way, this is the top of the line A-Spec. We'll go over the different trims in just a sec. But you have the black mirrors, you have this black accents here, and then if you look over here, remember I was talking about lines? You have this character line that goes actually in the center of the door panel through here, and then it stops, but then you have the shoulder, very nice shoulder actually, over here. So it's got a mold to the shoulder, really giving it a little bit more, you have a manly stance in the back. Back, yes. Very few automakers are doing the old school thing of making the front end and the rear end similar, continuing the theme. Acura does that, and they've done that here. You can definitely see it in the taillight design and the emblem here. And there's something else that they did, which I wasn't expecting. They have actual functional dual rear exhausts. Now the model you're looking at here, of course, it's all-wheel drive, but they do build these vehicles with front-wheel drive standard. Now, there are three different ADXs out there. There's the regular ADX, there's the ADX A-Spec, and then there's the ADX A-Spec Advanced Package. Now, those vehicles all have the same powertrain. We don't have the numbers on them yet, but it is a 1.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine connected to a continuously variable transmission. You can either get it with front-wheel drive, or you can get an all-wheel drive unit. That all-wheel drive unit can take up to 50% of the torque and send it to the rear wheels when needed when you're having traction issues. However, it's not an off-road system. This is built more for regular tarmac. Now, there are a variety of different colors available for the ADX, and that's also including a very bright red, and they also have grays and, of course, blacks that are available, altogether 6 colors. Now, this is the A-Spec Advanced Package that has 18-inch wheels. These wheels are just one option. You can get a different set of wheels. Another way you can tell the Advanced Package apart from the regular A-Spec, the black accents, including the mirrors. So in addition, you get these 18-inch wheels. Now, there is an optional set of wheels, and we just happen to have them right over here. It's a different wheel pattern. That's right. Now, in addition to the black mirrors I told you about and the different wheels, you can also get this additional spoiler sitting down here. All right, let's look here. Ooh, look at this new color. This is an orchid color that is brand new to Acura. So this white they have, well, you see, Acura has been real big with reds. They take a red and they throw a lot of black in there for their interior options, right? And then of course black, but this, well, this is completely different. This is not quite a bright white. This is an off-white with that blue here, and this is a suede-like material. This is leather. This is, ooh, quite nice. Okay, let's talk about what we got here. This is essentially what you get on all of the vehicles. That's a 10.2-inch screen in front of you, and then a 9-inch screen here. Now this has Google built in. They were really, really specific about saying that. And then it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless. That's part of the system as well. And down here, wireless charging. That's all part of the deal, okay? Now, if you step up to the very top of the line, then you're able to get things like this. Little button right here. That's the steering wheel heater, that is. All right, look at that. And then over here, not only heated, but also ventilated seats up front. So all of that is part of this package that you get on the top of the line. I wanted to point this out because I think this is a big deal. Now on other Acuras that I've recently driven, you have a push button transmission. I'm not a big fan. I do like having a lever. So that's something that does hook up to a CVT transmission, as I've mentioned before. And then you have different modes that you can choose from. That's here with this switch. And there, it looks like it has hill descent control. And you can also shut off the start-stop system, which is great. Brake hold, and of course your brake is here. One cup holder here, one cup holder there. 2 USB-C ports, and there is a, look at that, 12-volt pluggy right there. Yeah, so the interior overall is rather reminiscent of the Integra. Big surprise there. But in addition, tons of headroom up front, actually. Look at that, I'm with my hat on, I'm barely brushing up here. That's kind of a good thing. You get a 15 speaker Bang & Olufsen speaker setup on the stereo system. That's a lot in a small car like this. In addition, you also get panoramic sunroof. Now, if you get the mid-level A-Spec, you get just a regular sunroof. Keep that in mind. But there's more in the back seat. All right, what about the back seat? Well, I am 6'1". Wow. So backseat space is quite good for the legs. My feet are brushing a bit, shoving them underneath the front seat in front of me, but they do fit. I do have decent headroom. If I lean my head back, the bill of my hat does rub up here. So Roman's wig would definitely scrape against the top of this. But look down here. USB-Cs, baby. We're in a modern age. 2 of them. And also rear vents, which is great. No vent control, nothing else here, no cup holders here, but let's look over here, what we got. Ba-bing! 2 cup holders in your armrest. Also, the door does have probably, I would imagine, a fair-sized bottle capacity in a hole in the door, which is great to have. The other thing about this door is that it does have soft touch materials on the side, but oddly, this upper section here by the control is hard plastic, and up here is hard plastic. But at least where your elbow goes, that's fairly soft. So it's a bit of a compromise, but it seems to work. One more thing I wanted to point out, right over my shoulder here, look at that little port window. I love that. Being in the back seat sucks, no matter what. And if you're somebody who needs a little bit of, more window than you get just here, you can look over your shoulder and look out and see who you just passed. Okay, standard power liftgate. And that reveals a 22.4 cubic foot cargo area behind the second row. And when you fold these seats down here, which fold pretty darn flat, you get a 55.1 cubic foot cargo area. Now, wanted to point out something. You may have recognized these numbers because they're pretty much the same numbers as the Honda HR-V, and they do share a lot of components, platform and whatnot. But there's more, and that's because you have here, look at that. That is the walk-away feature. If you want to walk away from this car like a G, right, you hit this button, and what happens is if you have the key, which I do not have, as you're walking away, and you have to have a mosey going on, all right, then the thing will close as you're cruising away. That's proper gangster. I bet you were wondering, what is under the floor? Well, if you get the all-wheel drive version of this vehicle, you get this spare tire. It is a donut. If you get the front wheel drive version of this vehicle, you get a tire inflator kit. All right, by the way, I may have forgotten to mention this flat bottom steering wheel, which is really good for chunky people, but it's also supposed to be sporty, and it says a spec there. But then when you start moving your eye up to here, you're gonna find metal paddle shifters. I am a huge fan of metal paddle shifters. I really dislike the plastic ones that feel like buttons. But there's a thing with this, because this is actually a continuously variable transmission, a CVT, so there's no actual gears. Honda has a setup where they make it feel like there are different gears. So as you're driving along regularly, there's a little bit of a surge feel between gears, right? But it's not really gears. Same thing goes here to where you're holding an RPM using these very nice metal paddle shifters to hold that gear once again. The whole point is to impart a feeling of sport. Now, we haven't driven yet. We can't say whether or not it is sporty. It does have that turbocharged engine though, so I'm guessing it's probably a lot more sporty than its cousin, the Honda HR-V. You may have noticed something that is absent, that is not there, and that is tow hitch. Why? Because Acura says they don't want to tow with this vehicle, so there's no tow rating on it. It's not rated to tow. Pricing starts in the mid $30,000 zone for the entry-level version of the ADX. That is a sweet spot when you look at other vehicles it goes up against. Interesting to point out that everything from the Mazda CX-30 all the way up to a Lexus UX or the BMW X1, all of those vehicles compete against this vehicle, or I should say actually that this is going to be competing against those vehicles. So it's going to be interesting to see how it performs. However, I can tell you, at least from the first impressions, that they're definitely aiming right at the center of the competition. But when can you buy one of these? Well, it looks like, according to Acura, early 2025. We don't have a specific date yet, but a lot of that information, including MPG numbers, additional pricing numbers, power numbers, all of that is going to be coming real soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.